Ooh. Oh, golly, I'm not sure. Is it getting hot for anybody else? What's up, guys? I'm Hunter here, and we want to do a breakdown and review to chapter 258 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as the Decisive Battle in the Uninhabited Demon-Infested Shinjuku, Part 30. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about in so little time, so let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Heading me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me, and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, usually only landed 7. So that one at 257. I think that was big SUKUNA's. And notably, this chapter doesn't give us a number. So that's the first big thing. Because the earliest thing this chapter confirms is that Ryoma SUKUNA should have had his RCT back. He should have had his arms back, should have had his heart back, should have had his toes back. He should have had everything back. Heck, his face, everything should be fixed up by this point. But with not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7 whole black flashes. And the chapter doesn't even mention the extra hits that you've been... that have been directly aimed for the boundary between Sukuna and Megami's soul. Yeah. He ain't getting that bad boy back. So that's good. That's good. First things first, Yuji has had a concrete effect. He's limited Sukuna's RCT restoration, limited his output restoration, limited all of that. So that's beautiful. Chef's kiss, scrumptious, actually quite delicious. But of course, considering this is Ryoma and Sukuna, the big next thing is that the king's domain, traveling along the sparks of black, returned to its master. So yeah, Yuji, good work, buddy. You still didn't stop the domain. But to be fair, this is very much a rough domain, a freaky deaky domain, a domain that really ain't like that for real. If anything, this looks like a sort of mutated demon bull or something along those lines. Like, you know how Sukuna's domain is typically surrounded by all those like skulls that look like almost, is it just bull horns? Like they have the horns and the long snouts and everything. This essentially looks like a fleshy version of that with like extra eyes, double the horns and all that. So yeah, while this is domain expansion level and shrine, notably there's not a single bit of Megami in this one. This is all Sukuna, even in spite of the somewhat similarity to Megami's domain with the whole idea of the skeleton and the vertebrae, and this having skeleton and vertebrae. This is a Sukuna exclusive Malevolent Shrine, ignore the bones. But with that being the case, Sukuna does get it back. But as with everything in this world, it comes with caveats. Caveat number 1. Somehow, Sukuna, in all his infinite glory, managed to still make this full output in Mac's gargantuan, crazy, next level range. And to that I say, what? Like the chapter explicitly goes out of its way to say, by altering the hand size and utilizing part of the brain unaffected by a limited void, Ryoma Sukuna employed his curse technique along with his barrier technique. Amidst the maelstrom of uncertainties and impromptu binding vows, Ryoma Sukuna's rush of black flashes allowed Malevolent Shrine to burst forth once more with no loss in output or range. I'm sorry, what? Like, notably, I'm fine with the idea that Sukuna's able to whip out domain. I'm perfectly fine, and I can clearly acknowledge the fact that this is not the same kind of Malevolent Shrine. It's probably not just a more cobbled together version, but probably like a more ancient version of Malevolent Shrine. Like, this is probably what the domain first looked like before a lot of its refinement that Sukuna kept doing further and further until he got to the building. But still, dog, that's crazy. The fact that it still has the range and destructive potency of Malevolent Shrine, even though it's a lesser one, like, that's insane. This means that Sukuna, in spite of getting hit with 7 black flashes, did not really lose much in terms of his domain, except for the time limit it puts upon it. If there's one little critique I did have this chapter, though, we don't know exactly what Sukuna sacrificed in these impromptu binding vows. A lot of people, myself included, kind of just assume the binding vow is the 99-second time window and the incomplete nature of the domain itself, which takes the form of more of a tornado. But still, I do wish that was just like hard stated, and like maybe he lost something else. Once again, I don't know. I'm assuming the main reason Gege keeps it so vague in this chapter is so when something doesn't happen later, he can say it was one of the binding vows Sukuna did to restore his domain. Essentially, it's the consistent usage of the uncertainty principle that Gege likes to spam with JJK, admittedly, where we just don't know enough about the universe and don't know enough about the characters and the limitations. We still don't fully understand what happens when you break a binding vow. So, like, we have no clue, absolutely none at all, about the hypothetical repercussions of this. So I think Gege keeps it vague on purpose, but the vagueness, it does rustle my jimmies a little bit. But this is Gege, I'm kind of used to it. The main other thing about this chapter is that, number 1, it does sort of solve the whole big bad question with Yuji. Like, how does bro have so much cursed energy? Like, bro has been spamming RCT for what? He spawned in 238. 20 chapters later, the Kenjaku fight and Takaba fight was like 4 chapters. So bro's been spamming RCT for about 16 chapters straight, but he's still moving, he's still kicking, he's still punching, he's still swinging. How could he do this? It's because he... tasty. His own siblings. Yeah, he took notes from Uncle Sukuna or Daddy Kuna and nibbled his own siblings in order to get the same properties that Choso has, and thusly he's using blood manipulation and his special, now DPW sort of pseudo-based biology in order to show off the properties of blood manipulation in order to drastically increase the efficiency of RCT. Another fun little fact is that both Yuda and Akari don't actually know what they're doing when they use RCT. They're just that good with it. They're just that much of a prodigy that they kind of just do it. Akari's is obviously automatic, but Yuda himself even admits he has no idea how he does it, which is unironically hilarious. But the big thing that also gets dropped here is not just the fact that Yuji did get blood manipulation and the ability to be hyper efficient with RCT and healing through the consumption of his siblings, but also it was not Yuji who developed the soul swapping technique. Oi did. Like what? Like I get it in a sense, right? He essentially just talks about like swapping the contents of a box, just like you can swap the places between people. And instead of swapping the box itself, he swaps the contents. Essentially, he marks your soul instead of marking the actual person. Crazy, but once again, this does kind of de-incorporate the whole idea that the soul and body are one and the same, because we can directly interact and separate the two. So Mahito was actually kind of ended up being right, where the soul comes before the body, and then the body reflects the soul, rather than Kenjaku's idea that they're one and the same. Once again, with the rampant exceptions of like Maki and Toji, whose body and soul seem to be literally one thing. But with that being the case, Yuji apparently ended up swapping with Kusakabe, as we know, from way back in 222, or I think maybe even 220, and I think it was 222, where we see Yuji and Kusakabe's body, and Kusakabe and Yuji's body. We see them train, and apparently someone else to learn RCT. Because it's revealed that the only reason that Yuji has gotten a bunch of his gains, obviously they don't know about the inbred Sukuna finger, not inbred, but like the inborn Sukuna finger, but also, it's the fact that Sukuna just used the body, and Yuji's body remembers how to do things, based on when Sukuna was controlling it. So, very, very good stuff. This, once again, does kind of feed into all the Megami hype beasts, who are like, when Megami comes back, he's gonna be cracked. Yeah, I agree now. At this point, with this being a hard, confirmed system mechanic, that a lot of Yuji's insane, rampant growth doesn't just come from his own innate potential, but also the fact that Ryomen Sukuna was kind of just living in his guts for a while, and taking control of the body. Yeah, technically, when you think about it, Megami has been wielded by Sukuna infinitely longer than Sukuna ever wielded Yuji. Yuji has a whole bunch of potential from Sukuna wielding his body for like a total of maybe 30 minutes across the entire series, when you really think about it. Sukuna never really took control of Yuji for that long. But Megami has been under Sukuna's control for over a month, very specifically when he was in his own flesh. Like, remember, Sukuna only incarnated this day in December. He spent the entire month before that as Meguna. So all the things he did, any sort of training or sparring or evolution he did while Megami's body, that's also going to reflect to Megami, just as it reflected to Yuji. Good stuff, good stuff. Of course, it isn't a linear one-to-one gap or one-to-one growth, but still, a lot of Yuji's potential is being quickly drawn out by Sukuna's experience with Jujutsu and the high-level abilities in it. This once again doubles down on the fact that it wasn't just the inborn finger that gave Yuji Cleaviness Mantle and his own interpretation of it in the modern day, but it was also legit just the fact that he was, like Gojo said, ingrained with Sukuna's technique. We don't know who he swapped with to learn RCT, considering Uyui says he can only swap with 2 people about a month, but it was somebody. If I had to hazard a guess, it actually may have been Choso, considering Choso is the one who explains their whole special dynamic with RCT, and I don't think Yuji would probably learn it from anybody else. But the only other person who could do it to like the same degree are likely one of these two, but probably Yuta. I'm not sure if Shoko would be comfortable swapping bodies with a teenager, but with that being the case, interesting. Uyui, I think this does knock him up to like, darn, I've seen like 6-man comparison, but I think he's legit like top 4 most top 4 most important person. He's really the solid MVP. He's been teleporting, carrying, lifting, got Yuji as strong as he did, probably helped get other characters as strong as he did. Like, legitimately straight cooking, straight gas. But all this is to simply explain why Yuji has new Shadow Style Symbol Domain. And not just Yuji, but everybody has new Shadow Style Symbol Domain in order to defend against this domain technique, which is Malevolent Shrine. Yuji notes that the domain itself is incomplete, it wasn't able to properly be formed, and thusly, while it does still have the properties of the original Malevolent Shrine, from the fact that it's open barriered to the fact that it probably couldn't trap Maki due to the idea of it being a closed barrier, that's why he went with an open barrier to ensure that Maki didn't get away, all that. Still, due to the nature of him switching the hand signs, the technique up, and making an incomplete version of it, the domain can only last for 99 seconds. So essentially, the whole cast and crew needs to hold out for 99 seconds. However, considering this is a full output Malevolent Shrine, apparently, I am shocked that only Yuji seemed to break. Because we see Miwa, of all characters. I know a lot of the Miwa fans out there are going to be like, what do you mean, of all characters? And I mean of all characters. Miwa, of all characters, manages to stand there and summon them a mad hard and face tank all of this Malevolent Shrine for Maki. Shouts to Maki. I get why she didn't run away, though. Because, like, the moment she did, considering this still has the properties of the original Malevolent Shrine, she would have been dismantled to oblivion. So, especially with a full output, I understand why she had to resist it. And then we see Ito goaded, holding it down, and even Choso goaded, holding it down. But yeah. Once again, we've seen that ultimately, as powerful and as cool as Symbol Domain is, it's really not that good. Like, just in general. I don't know, anti-domain techniques have kind of been booty meat. Like, when you really think about it, we have yet to see a successful Symbol Domain. Like, one that just verbatim completely blocked out the sure hits been affected by, without, like, literally shattering seconds later. Like, Gojo shattered, Yuki shattered, now Yuji shattered, and the sure hits start to affect him. However, to be fair, the one thing I'll give Symbol Domain, we haven't really got to see it used against a regular domain. Like, one that isn't a barrierless domain from two of the most knowledgeable characters and strongest sources of the entire series. Yeah, the barrierless domains tear through Symbol Domains like nothing, but that isn't necessarily too bad a testament to Symbol Domain itself. But unfortunately, Yuji does get torn to ribbons. However, once again, we sort of keep up a pattern here. His arms, they are perfectly fine. Look at everything else on Yuji. He has his leg torn off. He, being the G he is, immediately reattaches it with RCT and blood manipulation, because that's my goat, Yuji Gotodori. But look at all this. His face torn to ribbons, his clothes torn to ribbons, everything torn to ribbons, and we even see slashes hit his arms, but weirdly enough, they take no visible damage. And of course, you see his hands, but that's the thing, it seems like the hands and arms just take no damage from Cleave and Dismantle, and we've still yet to get an explanation on that. That's the one thing, that's the one lingering mystery, well, not the only one, but we get a lot of explanation on Yuji and his abilities as of recent, from him having Symbol Domain, to him having Blood Manipulation, to him having Cleave and Dismantle, or at least Cleave so far, to him being as powerful and as bulky as he is, and the amount of cursed energy he has, and the sheer efficiency of his RCT. We got a bunch of explanations, but we still don't know why these arms seem basically immune. And there's still even a heavy debate going on in the community on whether or not these arms are something he and like put on as in their gauntlets that maybe Yuta had and lent to Yuji, or if these are just fleshy mutations that are immune to Cleave and Dismantle, because these are the only things on Yuji that, unless I'm mistaken, feel free to correct me, I've been wrong before, we've seen them hit by Dismantle, just like in this chapter we see them get hit by presumably even Cleave, but notably, no damage is really taken to them. So I still don't know what those are, I still don't know what their role is, other than being like maybe just gauntlet deflectors, but still, that's crazy. Gig is being very particular about where the damage is being shown, and it's not being shown anywhere on those arms, so I still say pay attention to those. But, of course, the big, hefty, defty Schlabanake, if you will, is that Sukuna's like, fine. You know what? I got you, bro. And I'm not sure, this is a 50-50 on whether Sukuna shut down the slashes himself, but the domain is still active, or if they actually did manage to endure the 99 seconds, because regardless, Sukuna goes, furnace open. So this isn't box open. This isn't just an old Fuga. It's very specifically furnace open, and then the flaming birds, the flame arrow is reborn within the hands of the king. However, notably, Sukuna, I hate to say it, bro, them hands look mighty choppable, bro. I'm sorry, the slashes stopped, the slashes ceased, as Yuji himself notes, huh? The slashes stopped, we endured it. So a certain someone, Sukuna, I'm not saying, don't sleep, a certain someone with a certain blade, they stand and they holding on to Miwa. I wouldn't be shocked, Sukuna. You better watch them hands, my boy. You better watch them hands. You got a little bit too comfortable, my G. You got a little bit too comfortable, my G. I can see a certain someone hitting the... And suddenly them hands are gone. You ain't got no hands. What you gonna do with no hands, Sukuna? No RCT, no hands, no domain, Sukuna. What you looking like for real, baby, bro? What you looking like? But of course, the big thing is that Sukuna's going to use the flames. And with the slashes within the domain shutting down, the hypothetical return of Akari Kinji, getting to see him walk through Malevolent Shrine like the absolute Chad he is, it's kind of low, because I don't think Sukuna's pulling out another domain, but I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. I still want to see Akari walk through Malevolent Shrine. I'll be completely honest. But the big other things that we are on break next week. It is Golden Week, so the real question is, what happens next? I'm 50-50. I'm very 50-50 on it. Part of me really wants to cut away to Akari versus Urume so we can wrap that up. Like, I'm genuinely like, finish it. You don't have to dedicate multiple chapters to it. You don't have to make it a whole Kenny and Takaba incident. But still, let's finish that, please. Because I don't know. That's what my brain keeps leaping back to whenever I think about progression in this fight. I want to see Akari versus Urume wrapped up. And considering we're having a similar scenario to the end of 238, where we had crazy cliffhanger, new challengers, next level stuff happening, we had a break and then we cut away to Kenny versus Takaba. We could have the same thing here, where we do have a scenario where ultimately we end on this crazy cliffhanger, Sukuna whipping out a new technique for the first time in forever. And then, bada bing, bada boom, we cut away to Akari versus Urume. I know some people will be mad, I wouldn't be. And if we do stay here anyway, I'm interested to see how Yuji handles it. Because once again, I don't think Yuji's cooked, I think he's going to make it through it, but the question is, how is he going to make through getting literally burned alive? I have no clue. But hypothetically, a certain ghost could come in and take them arms right for herself. Little snacks to nibble on, if you know what I'm talking about. But regardless, the chapter's worthy. It's a nice, simple chapter. It's a bunch of just Malevolent Shrine GGs, essentially, and essentially explaining why the Malevolent Shrine can even happen at this point. But I'll take that. I do think popping a Malevolent Shrine here at this point does make sense. Sukuna's probably trying to get rid of the rest of them, and pulling out the flames makes even more sense, considering the slashes clearly just ain't working like they used to. So overall, a very, very, very W chapter. If you've been all the way to the end of this video, please leave Furnace. Yeah, I said it. Actually, leave Burning Furnace, because I feel like people may be saying Furnace in the comment section already. But leave Burning Furnace in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure the little case bell so you not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have an application down below where you can support me for as low as $1 month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You'll also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the 90-minute live reaction to this very chapter, ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 Patron, a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, if you want to make a one-time donation to your boy or one-time video request, the link to my Ko-Fi is in the description down below. Now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dad on the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members of Kleiner Plays, Greyhound, Akids Void, Astro, Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, G Prosper, Paris Arnold, King Sukuna, and NMA. I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons, Steron, Sean, Owexian, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Josh Brown, John Malcolm, and Igneal Lynn. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $7 member, Autumn Mornings Lazo. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our $10 members, Robbie Uchiha and Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give another big old thank you to our $10 patrons, Panda Goat, Joaquin Munoz, and Idemo Kami. And finally, I'd like to give a big, hefty Ganshu and thank yous to our $25 patron, China Doll 09. I'd like to give another Ganshu and toe curling slobba dabba thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.